So the bells are ringing just for you. I hope you managed to catch some of them. You worked out where we are yet? Don't let the signs take your eye off the ball. We are in the middle of the old Victorian public toilets in the main street of Barnard Castle. Now, we've already been out, especially for our supporters, to walk the Castle Ghost Trail, which is amazing. So you guys will get that later, very much later tonight. However, for the rest of you guys, we have an absolute treat. This is a plague town. Big story. We're going to be searching for plague pits. We're going to be looking for a man called George Hopper, who was murdered. And apparently his tomb houses a poltergeist that you can hear knocking on the tomb. So we're going looking for him. Kenny's with me, and behind the camera, probably being able to speak for that he has a microphone, is Hollywood McShane.
Hello.
So he's there too. So it's the Gleeson threesome. It is going to be all three of us. We did try to get Kenny a place in the King's Court care home, but they wouldn't have him. So we're stuck with him for another show. But I want to show you just a couple of very, very quick things. My name's Alan Robson. If you haven't had anything to do with me before, worked radio for a lot of years, done an awful lot of TV in Britain and also in the States. And a lot of it's to be done with phenomenon, ghosts, myths, legends. Kenny's mind has just been blown. Can you see the white building over there with a big plaque on it? It's probably behind Kenny's head. So just there, it's a pub. It's called the Turk's Head. Now, I want to take you back to the year 1803. It was the time of the Napoleonic Wars. Now, even in a place that at that time was relatively sleepy, because let's face it, it's not exactly a hive of activity today. So if you can imagine it, 121 years earlier, very quiet, a nice country town, very agricultural. I'll tell you more about that later too. So in the pub of the Turk's Head, there's a soldier getting ready to go out with the Duke of Wellington's army, because let's face it, the northern troops always get sent in first. He was ready to go and fight Napoleon with the Duke of Wellington. So he's in that pub having a chat with a gamekeeper with his flintlock rifle, soldier with his rifle, and they get chatting about who's the best shot. Well, you know it's not going to end well. Well, I'm a soldier. Of course I'm the best shot. The other guy saying, I'm a gamekeeper. I've got to be able to hit rabbits, rats, rodents, flying things. So they said, they came out the door. Now, realize how far away that is. That's about, it's a good 50 yards up the street. 50 yards. We're talking flintlock rifles. This is, you know, bit of powder. This musket ball. This is tough. Now turn around and have a look at what is generally known here in Barnard Castle, because we call it Barney. You see that circular building ahead? Well, look at the weather vane at the very top of it. Probably even looks a hell of a long distance from where you are. Well, the two of them decided to take a shot to see who's best. Well, let's aim at the gold weather vane. In fact, let's walk down, Tony. Everybody might get a chance to see what we're talking about. Watch your step on the cobbles. This whole road at one time was cobbles like this because it was a big agricultural town. And I don't know why we situated ourselves in between gents and the ladies' toilets, but and we all love the idea of bubbles, coffee, curry, and cocktails. That's not going to be open. That's not going to be open when we're finished, is it? No. Because you just would, wouldn't you? You just would. Lovely little small country town shops. And let's face it, you're not going to get high fashion here. In every country town I've ever visited, they have a shop like bespoke tailoring, which is very nice, but it's clothing of a type, I think you'll find. Clothing of a type. No, but there we go. Tony, let's see if you can get a shot of that. Oh, hang on. You could probably light it up with your with a torch because you've got the blaster. Now, Kenny's going to light it up. Can you see close to where it joined? Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Well done, Kenny. Can you see the two bullet holes? Both the soldier and the gamekeeper knocked two holes in the thick part on the left-hand side. You can see them. If you want to go online as well, there's an awful lot of pictures with the two bullet holes. So how amazing is that? And that's just the start of this. It's called the Butter Mart. That's what the people of Barney call it. But you see the upstairs bit? That was a jail. It was the town jail. You've got to be a bit careful here because you are in a roundabout. This building was erected in 1747 at the expense of Thomas Brakes, who was a native of this place. So he lived in Barnard Castle. And this building is it's been a town hall, a courtroom, a jail, a fire station. And in the 1930s, farmers' wives sold milk, dairy produce, and a whole range of other things. So hence it's named the Butter Market or the Butter Mart, as people here call it. So the stairs up to the local jail, you know, if you are, let's face it, you're not going to have major thievery in this neck of the woods. It was usually a drunk being thrown out of a pub. He'd be dragged up them stairs, probably not in a comfortable fashion. Now, this place is supposed to be haunted. And this was the original toll booth. To, you know, if people wanted to sell their agricultural goods, they had to come in and pay their toll. So they made this booth, the original toll booth, to allow you to do that. Now, it is said to be haunted. The people of Barney take it for granted because you drive round it, you walk round it, and it becomes invisible. I don't know how they've done it, but they have managed to get Yazoo tins and Fanta tins in the netting over the top. But I don't know if you could imagine you've committed some kind of crime and you've got to get dragged up there. And you imagine if you're trying to get a drunk up those stairs. It's hard enough trying to get a drunk with three or four policemen in the back of a police van. But what an amazing story from here. Now, people have died here, and they believe, you know those cars that they don't put an exhaust on? There's about half a dozen half-formed people who drive around in them. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm not going to be judgmental. I wish them well, but you know what I mean? Anyway, the police is... There's a police car going up the road, chasing after them for making that kind of... I don't know. I think you're supposed to have silencers on your cars. This building, however, has a story of someone who died in the cells. They choked on their own vomit, died in the cell. A man of good order, a man who was a businessman who lived in Barnard Castle, is said to have died in the cells. He just got a bit too drunk one night. And because he slumped over in the cell and he had his chin on his chest, he wasn't able to expel what he had in him and he ended up choking. So for those of you that live in Barnard Castle, you probably know the story. Or maybe you don't, because quite often we don't know what's on our own doorstep here. But anyway, let's crack on. There's a lot for us to see. They're having a race. They're having a race and their wheels are steel. Good on them. Oh, she's the champion. She's saluting. Good on her. We're actually following those people because there's an aisle, a tiny little alley where a murder was committed just down here. Make sure you share. And if you do share, please do. Share to everybody that you know, and you may well become the recipient of the Night Owl badge. Classic, it is too. Now, don't know whether you can do this, Tony, but we can't. So just got to be a bit careful with the roads around here. We're going to visit that place there because that is St. Mary's. St. Mary's is synonymous with Barnard Castle, and it's also part of the reason this place was called a plague town. It was called a plague town because a lot of people died here. And there's a little tiny cut-off, a little alleyway down here. If I'm wrong, you will know about it soon. I'm fairly sure it's down here, and it's off to the left-hand side. I may well be mistaken. I have often been mistaken in my life, but hopefully we're on the right track. Incidentally, you go down there to the river, there's a couple of amazing stories of ghostly daring do, but I'll tell you more about them when we get there. Are we near? Oh, that looks like it. No, I think it's that one. It's that one.
It's not that one.
It's that one.
No. It's in between.
Now, for those of you that watch that antique show, name I can't remember, David Harper, this is his antique shop. And right next to Dave's antique shop is this alley. Have a look along it. Yeah, take the torch out just a second. Yeah, that's more like it. So let's get along there and get in. I know, Tun, do you want to go in first? Or?
Yeah, just because this bit.
Just because you may lose signal.
This bit.
So... if you're a bit of an antique head, as you can tell, the atmosphere of the whole place changes when you start walking along this alleyway. Now, some of these alleys were used by monks, some of them were used by Methodist ministers. Now, Methodism is not generally accepted by a lot of people. And at the time, the Lord of the Manor, oh, we've come up the wrong one. Is this the right one? Is this the right one?
Yeah.
Oh, blimey, thank heavens. John Wesley, the man who created Methodism, came here. And there's a Methodist church just along another alley like this. And he came and he did the inaugural speech at it. The Lord of the Manor, when that centre thing was a fire station, he bought a fire engine and he says, I'll buy you a fire engine on one condition. When John Wesley starts speaking, you put the hoses on him. Because he wasn't a Methodist. So they soaked John Wesley. But along here, this is the far end. This is where it happened. It's a story of a soldier, again, getting ready for war. This is at the beginning of 1914. A lot of young men joined up before they needed to be called up. And just stop here, Tony, if you can. Have you got good signal?
Yeah.
Right, well, we'll go ahead of you now, if you don't mind. Just spin down here. There's steps at the very end. And it's colder here all of a sudden. It's been warm all day. All of a sudden, it's quite cold here, and I'm not surprised. It's when you're on the site where people have died. And along here, at the very end, you will find some stairs coming down. There was a soldier, a young man, he joined up, and a lot of people in the town, although they were worried about the Kaiser and the beginning of a war, they had a presumption that Britain's best, so therefore, whatever happens, we'll succeed. And when this young lad chose to join up, they all kind of laughed at him, which is, in light of what happened with a lot of our people going over there, it was very sad indeed, but they were laughing at him. And a gang of 2 or 3 decided they would give him a kicking for joining up, which I don't fully understand. But they gave him a kicking at the edge of the stairs, and he fell down and he split his skull. Now, horrible story. But at the end of the war, 2 of the people that did the damage to were walking along here and confronted an angry spirit. And they believed, they actually told the police, we've been attacked by a young lad called Alan, 2 L's, here. They said, Alan's not dead. He's here. We saw him. And the police said, well, what's that got to do with you? Because nobody found out who killed him. They presumed he'd slipped and fallen to his death and broke his neck. And these two people said, well, we just heard, but he attacked us. And both of them were bloodied. One of them had a bloody nose. One of them's mouth was cut. And they say it was his spirit, Alan's spirit. His name, Alan Stewart was his name. And it was just at the end of here. And it said that most nights, Alan patrols this area to make sure that there's no more evil doings like was done to him. And he's said to be right there. And you wonder whether that's why this place is as chilly as it is.
It is.
Because you can't feel it, can't you?
Definitely feel it.
Just in every direction. We're going up there much later at night when it gets darker. Plague pits and all of that. Major poltergeist activity right there.
I see a shadow there. Did you see that? Shadow?
Just down there.
Just in there. Just in there.
Was that just
It might have just been
corner of the eye thing?
No.
But I don't know how you saw it and I saw it.
Yeah,
That was stopping your tracks stuff, wasn't
it
it?
was. I just stopped there. What the hell was that? I thought it was actually somebody walking up the alley.
I heard the dog, so I thought it was a dog. Yeah.
Definitely something in there.
Do you not think it could be somebody that's just heard us and is coming out to check?
No.
I'd love to go down, but
That's
somebody.
the chapel alley, but we couldn't get a signal, remember?
Oh, that's the chapel alley.
That's probably why.
Right. Now that makes sense. Come on, we'll be able to have a look up it. I love these old-fashioned. That somebody at the door there. Yeah. Oh, sheepers. Or you could understand somebody coming a cropper down here, I mean. If you were fighting and you lost your step. Oh, my goodness. Now, we are heading up to a really dark place. 10 minutes time. Just before that, we've got another couple of places, quick places to go. Whoop. Down there's the riverside. And again, for those of you that are ghost hunters that want to come out and visit places like this, and I hope that's most of you, and don't forget, share, spread the word. If you share, you get one of these. If you're a good sharer, be a really good sharer, share your socks off. And a lot of the buildings are here. I will tell you what they're all about. That Broadgate is a very haunted place. And it, oh, hang on, something. What the hell is that?
That's somebody walking along on a bike. No,
Oh, it's a bike.
Dear me. I wonder what it was. I think it's somebody coming along. Yeah, so that one. Somebody pulling the bike.
This is a place where a lot of the Methodists, and again, you know, they're trying to convince people to become Methodists. And there you go. Let's double bubble it. Wow. Now there's a little plaque, and these plaques are always amazing. This building that we've got here was originally known as Broadgate's Chapel, the first Methodist chapel to be built in Barnard Castle. Men and women of the congregation, John Wesley, preached at the opening service. Now, remember, and got soaked by hose pipes as soon as he came out. So we can't get up there too far because the signal disappears. But if you come to do the ghost walk, come down, just follow the path that you've seen me take, because we have to go in search of Romans. Now, this was a Roman principality too. If you follow Kenny's torch down to the right down to the bottom, the darkness, that's the river. It's the River Tees. Fantastic part of the River Tees. If you're a Teessider, be absolutely proud of that river. It's fantastic. But we have to go over here. Now, most people who do a grizzly trail of Barnard Castle will miss this, because this is where a legion was lost. And I'll tell you how, and I'll tell you where. If you go back far enough, the Romans were being attacked here. And as you know, they were leaving Britain. They ended up having to leave Britain. And a lot of the Britons realized, and the tribes realized, that all of the power was going to come back to them again, like they'd had before the Romans came here. And it's up on this mound and down there at the river that we've got some great stories. So this is like Children of the Corn, this bit. I want to try the necromancer up here as well, because I think you'll get something. The weird thing is, you're kind of overlooked by houses here, but you get a right feeling for. You've got to go a little bit further along, but keep your eyes open for things. Keep watching, because you guys tend to pick up an awful lot more than we do. It's hard to believe that somewhere that has such a great story is right here, close to where all these people live. And I bet 90% of them don't even know the story. As soon as I get past that house at the end, I'll tell you, because it's along there where it happened. You got to remember that we're kind of running parallel with the river. And the Roman legions had been told to leave England because Rome was under threat. So when they were gathering their... and then eventually hit the coast, onto ships, head back to Rome. They had to defend Rome at all costs. And if that meant giving up Britain with all of the trouble that we'd given the Romans, they would be happy to do that. So they did. And they left one legion to finish off. And this legion had been told to operate the scorched earth policy, which means don't leave anything in Barnard Castle that can be used by those people who don't support Rome, which essentially means burn the whole place to the ground. And they did. They started setting fire to all of the buildings in the town. Most of them were wooden at the time, so the place went up. And then some of the locals said, why should we stand for this? They're burning our homes. So I don't know whether you've noticed it, but there was a bat just flown over Tony's head there. And hopefully we'll see a few more. But this last legion thought all we got to do is set fire to the place and leg it. They came this way to get to the main route home, which was in that direction. And they started to be pursued by villagers and townspeople, chucking spears, firing longbows at them. They knew that they didn't have enough men to hold them back. So what they did up here, you got to remember that this was not just overgrowth, this was woodland too, and it was thick, impenetrable. But they waded in with their swords, and the Romans, and I mean, I wouldn't want to do it now with the amount of nettles, because these are all nettles, but they piled in that direction with their swords. And because it was over head height, it was over their head height, when people came in to follow them, the Romans would wait and jab at them and chop lumps off them, essentially. And it made the Barnard Castle folk back off, and they didn't want to go in there because the Romans were literally crouching down just waiting for people. And they ended up killing about 40 or 50 of them. And the Romans continued hacking their way, if you can imagine, like Bear Grylls in the jungle, went right the way down there to the riverside. They got into the river and they walked along the River Tees, in the River Tees, all the way to the track that took them south. And they all survived, but it's the ghosts of the people of Barnard Castle that apparently walk through this stuff and come and surprise people. And sometimes you can see dark shapes in the long grass, and it's in all directions here. And it's just starting to get dark enough so we might be able to see something. Light up the other side of them if you can. Kenny, that's great. Look at this. Can you imagine? Imagine this place. You've got to remember, you see the trees that's over there? Those trees were all the way over here. And you see how high that is? And that's obviously been cut out. And this has been flattened over the years. This wild grass land would have been over their heads. And you can just picture them waiting to pop out and take the life of somebody.
I never liked the Romans. That's why we need to beat Italy.
Is that right? Yeah, we'll get our own back on Sunday.
On Sunday, yeah.
And for those of you watching this any later than this weekend, that was the final of the Euros. And you will already know whether we have or we haven't succeeded by now. So, across here though, this is the area where you see it. This is the sweep.
It's so quiet again, isn't it?
What I don't understand is there's actually a little bit of wind today and nothing's moving much. You've got something. There's bats here. Right, I said I wanted to do the necromancer. This is the place. A lot of people died out here. A lot of people from this neck of the woods, literally. So the least we can do is seek them out. Whoa. My attention was bat. See the bat? In the sky just over there. My attention's just been taken by this area over here.
Over here. Whoa!
Whoa. You see that? What was it?
I have no idea. It's just like...
It was travelling. Something has just swooped out of here. Let's listen to what's out there for a second while we sweep this. There's another bat above your head there. I don't know whether you can see it. Who here is from Barnard Castle? Speak to us. Stop. Why should we stop? 3 stops.
3 stops, yeah. Stop again. That's it, Alan.
Alan.
yeah.
It is, yeah. Imagining,
Anything in there.
imagine though your life depends on hiding in bracken like this. And if you do it badly, you'll die. They got down to the river and they stayed in the river so that they couldn't be followed because they had, the people of Barney were country folk and they had dogs.
Right.
And they set the dogs to follow them and they followed them down to the river. Didn't know which way in the river they'd gone because they stayed in the water the whole way. Now, we've seen the River Tees from the bridge, and some of that water's fast moving.
Really fast moving.
Did you hear Rory noise there? Coming from over there? Look,
Still
bat,
there?
bat, 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 bat,
Yeah,
bat,
seen the
bat, bat.
See the bat.
See the bat?
Yeah. It's like a roar noise, like a, funny enough, like a... There?
It's there still. Can you hear that at home?
like
I hope you
thunder.
can. But look at the sky.
That's not on the sky, but
If you turn around, Tony, you can show people the sky because it's that golden red colour in the distance. There's not a hint of rain. There's not a rain cloud. So what's that roar? God, I can see more bats though.
Loads of bats there.
And whatever that fast thing was that went past you like a...
No idea what it was. Black though. Little black thing, isn't it?
I think I know. Sterling moth. Oh dear. Oh, maybe not. It was travelling at some speed because it went past. You went, whoa. Oh, this right over your head. Right over your head.
Just above it, so.
Just went over your head. You've had your hair cut so it can't land in your hair.
That's what it is. That's to get
And so
rid of
let
the
me just
midges.
tell you, there is Kenny's his new haircut.
Hang on, this is just to get rid of the midges.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it suit him?
Oh, stop it.
It means when you go to prison that you don't need to get your hair cut again.
Thanks for that.
I think we should turn around. We got so much to do. I want to get that cemetery. There's a bat again, right in the sky, right there. You'll get a few more over here. I've got no doubt. Oh, there's one. Oh no, it's not. That's. Or it is. Yes, it is. You see it? It's coming back. There it is.
Oh, I can't see it.
There.
Oh, yeah,
There.
there.
Do you see it?
Got it. Do you think I'll just come to check us out?
There. That's definitely a bat.
That's definitely a bat.
Can you catching it, Tony?
Bits of it, yeah.
Bits of
Did
it.
that just come to check us out, do you think?
Absolutely.
That was weird. They've only just come together and
But they don't fly like birds.
No, they don't.
The only way you
Don't
can tell them is
when they
the...
come out of the cave, they always go left as well.
Yes.
Because that's a sonic hearing, isn't it? Or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because they all need to know which way to go.
Right.
Otherwise, they'd be all over the place. So
Yeah.
they go automatically left.
That's strange, isn't it?
Right, come on. Let's head back. I want to get into that plague pit if we can. There's nothing more atmospheric on a ghost hunt than a bat, though.
Oh, no.
I love bats. Must say, I've never had a...
That's
Even
because you used to love Batman.
I did that too. I was Batman as a child.
It was Batman.
I did.
Yeah.
But only till I was 27.
You got the Batman outfit, had to wear it. Running.
I did, mate. I used to say to people in my street, now you got to remember this is Benwell.
Yeah.
I used to say to people, I didn't, something dark, without a word of a lie, this height has just gone that way.
Let's see.
Shadow, just a shadow went that way.
Yeah.
It just went in that direction. Tony, can you see shapes?
Oh, that's okay, this stuff.
Can you see like
Yeah.
almost like a crowd of people?
Crowded? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there. There's one down here as well. But look, can you see them, Tony?
Over there.
Over there.
You can see possibly
Could be the
shadows.
shadows
as
of the
well.
grass. Well, hang on, let's lift them. That could be shadows of the grass. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah, maybe I had my torch low.
Possibly.
Could have done that.
Looked weird, though.
Just looked like there was 3 or 4 people
Didn't it, huh?
moving along.
Anyway, Barnard Batman.
Yeah, and I used to say to people in the street, if you need help, I live at number 203. Knock any time. And one day the police actually knocked on the door.
Oh, brilliant.
And I don't know whether they were just doing it
Yeah.
because of the band, but they asked me to climb up and said the woman at the end, Olive, hadn't been seen for a few days and our window's open. Could you climb up the drain pipe, get in and come down and open the door?
Yeah.
And I climbed up, and as soon as I got in the window, because she used to say hi to all the kids when
Yeah.
they were walking past because she couldn't leave the house,
Right.
and she was dead on the floor.
Oh.
So we had to call the police,
Oh.
open the door for the police, and everybody came in piling.
Oh.
So Batman at least was useful for something.
Oh, you're right.
Mind you, I have to say that I did climb up as Clark Kent because I didn't have my Batman suit on that particular. Never forget it, Olive Vasey. Oh, just caught a little glimpse of something at the bottom.
Down here.
You see where the path cuts off?
Oh, God, yeah, yeah.
You got it, like one dark figure right in the middle.
Yeah.
You see it, Tony? Can you see a dark figure right in the middle of the path at the end?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Well, vaguely, yeah. I've got a tiny screen, so
Right.
hopefully they can see it at home.
We're walking towards it.
This is cool.
Really cool. Oh, here we go.
Oh, moving away.
Why?
I don't know. It's just moving to the right. Can you see it? Go behind the mound.
Yeah, why is it moving away?
I don't know. Maybe it's shy. Don't do that. Come back. Play with us if you must. Oh. Did you hear a cough?
Yeah, I heard a cough there.
Did you hear a cough?
Not back here.
Could be
Not
the
back
plague.
here. Cough of the plague. Oh, it wasn't a plague.
No,
It was cholera. But you still cough.
Would cough, wouldn't you?
Yeah, problem is it's rampant diarrhea. So if you coughed once, it might not be the not be the best idea.
I'm going to watch my feet again.
Same shoes,
No, different.
are they? That's just because of what I said during the debrief. Which way do we go, Tony? Are we in the wrong road?
Go this way?
This way,
The darker path.
the darker path.
Yeah.
Yeah. The figure was down there though.
Down that way.
Could all be tricks of the light or not. Depends what you guys catch at home. And don't forget to share. And if you do, we can see how many of you do. We put you all in a hat. We'll draw one of your names out. And on Sunday coming, Hollywood McShane rather, will select one of you and you'll get one of the badges. I don't know why I'm pointing it there. Just
You just feel it, don't you?
I just
Feel
felt
it.
something.
The back gate. The back gate.
Yeah.
Lots of moths here.
Yeah. I'd rather have them than those other little beggars, man. Mind you, you two won't suffer from them at all, will you, Tony?
No, I haven't been bitten once.
Because
We've got some Avon Skin So Soft on, which gets rid of all the
Hang on.
mosquitoes.
two of them have.
That's Avon Skin So Soft.
The macho people choose.
And thanks for the person who suggested that, by the way.
Wait till you get bitten.
She did suggest that we put this on, and she's
I
right.
did get hammered. These guys are test driving it for me. If it really works, next time
I
out.
put it on the dogs. It works. Definitely.
And then you spray it on us. Lovely.
It was, wasn't it? A girl called Miss Dunleavy who suggested it. She's right.
She's well, it seems so. I haven't been bothered at all tonight, but that's why I'm not bothering with any foreign chemicals. This is Spooky, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, nice it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Just put my hand through a little bit of gossamer, a little bit of cobweb. That was the track. It is that. How can you feel a breeze and yet these aren't moving?
No, you can. You can.
Oh. Mind you, if you are scared of moths, this isn't a place to come.
No,
Still don't know what flies at the speed that thing was that went past you, because it was past me before I could even take it in. Baby bat. You know, it was tiny.
maybe it was Robin.
Oh dear. Already sensing it's going to be a long night. To the left. And that's down where the river is. You can almost see that with your torch. Almost. Can you hear the river?
You can hear the river.
Can I ask you guys at home? Can you hear the same voices that I can right now? Shh. Yes, in the distance is the river. I'm just capturing voices now. There's obviously nobody here. Just shows you the distance between here, across the hill, and down there to the river. And over 50 people dead because of it. A few of the Romans died too, but most of them got to the river, which is literally just down there at the base of the hill. And we've got to go up now to St. Mary's. St. Mary's is the churchyard.
Oh, back.
It's this way. Now, if you were coming in to Barnard Castle in 1849, you wouldn't have been able to see any of these buildings. Some of these buildings were here, as you can tell.
1858.
So that one was here. And the reason I say that is because there were bonfires everywhere. They were trying to fumigate the town because cholera had arrived. Some soldiers had come back from visiting India, they think, and trade had just started, And it was hitting England cholera in a big, big way. And it came here and it became a plague town because so many people caught the plague. And there was a number of deaths. So many so that they built a plague pit. And it's up this lane. So I'll let you march ahead. So as I say, there was constant and endless processions of funerals from the slums along the riverside, from the slums near this church, St. Mary's Church. The houses were full of entire generations of people based in tiny little workers' cottages. They used to live with their animals too. Pigs, goats, sheep and cattle, chickens running around their feet. People living between slaughterhouses and dung heaps. And apparently, one of the ways you judged your neighbour was how good their dung heap was. Because you put it on your crops and you make them grow better. Barney had an awful smell from horse corpses boiling the bones for glue. Over 200 tanners' yards in Barnard Castle, 35 on that one street of Bridgegate. The town had a lack of fresh water, no sewers. A bit like York, people pooing out the window, so it ran down the street. One yard owned by Kirkleys had its cellars full of human sewage. It was waist deep, and families lived directly above it. Up to 32 people living in one building. It was a disease waiting to happen. And cholera arrived. Within 12 hours, an endless, profound bout of diarrhea, back at a time when ignorant doctors advised them not to replace fluids, so they got worse: vomiting, muscle cramps, sunken eyes, cold skin, a wrinkling of the skin. And children hit the hardest. The rich and middle classes ate well and moved around. The poor had to stay here, and they died. Ghost children are said to play around the plague pit, and we have to find the plague pit. It's here somewhere. When I find the plague pit, I intend to put on the necromancer, and we'll also try. We've got to find George Hopper's grave. It's around here somewhere. So look out for George Hopper if you can. If you see it before we do, tip us off, please. Some of these gravestones are very, very old. Oh, whoa. The hell was that? I just saw a shape.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting you've fixed on that? Because I did too. No, this one. You got to remember that so many old gravestones have stories attached to them. This one here. Do you notice it's not quite a Christian cross?
Yeah.
It's just a cross, and the circle tells you that it's pagan, because that's the circle of life. I know that's very Lion King, but that's the circle of life. And a lot of people who weren't Christians still wanted to be buried next to their friends and their family, which tended to be on sacred ground. So they compromised a little bit, put a little bit of a cross in it. Because to a pagan, that's not a cross. It's north, south, east, and west. It's the glory of nature. So whoever was buried here might have told them, oh, hang on, there's a...
Called Bailey, it's 1857.
And there's a lovely... I've never seen one of them this year yet.
Oh, right.
You see it?
Yeah.
It's a ladybug.
Good.
Come on, son. No, he's not playing. No, he's not playing. It's always a blessing to have any sight of Beautiful critters. So that was just someone who believed in the powers of nature. They didn't have gods and goddesses. I know a lot of people always think that that was the case. Where's George Hopper? Because he's in a tomb that rattles and knocks. He's a poltergeist. He's unhappy because he was murdered, apparently. Oh, look at that. Is that weird or what?
Oh, God, that's weird. That's strange, isn't it?
What the hell?
That looks like an alien face, doesn't it, the whole thing?
But have you noticed it's another north, south, east and west?
Yeah, it is.
And maybe on the front of it, it's Christian. But on the back, they've kept the circle.
Yeah.
And somebody has whoa. Something's just moved
Down there.
down there.
This is like a very active place, isn't it?
It's quiet though.
It's quiet, but you can tell there's stuff here.
How weird is that? You can see what their beliefs were. Once again, not putting a proper cross.
No.
That's actually a Knights Templar
That's a nice
cross.
Templar. Yeah.
You seen that? When you look, you find these things. Can you make any of that out? Sometimes it's easier with less torch.
Yeah. Like that.
Oh, you know. Fascinating, isn't it? This is spooky, man. So you had all of these people living nearby in slums, houses filled with families. And of course, if one person gets cholera, everybody does. There was a guy who lived in the poor part of town, which this was, called Pratt, John Pratt, and his daughter, 14-year-old. Mum had already died of something else, pneumonia earlier. And the two of them were living together, and he ran the carpet mill here in Barnard Castle. One day, he felt unwell and he had the runs. There was that bout of diarrhea that we're telling you about. The next day, he didn't turn in for work, and they went round to his house and knocked on the door and found his dead body in his bed and his 14-year-old daughter dead in hers. Sunken eyes, cholera. Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
I heard that. I've got a mic on the top. Hopefully that picked it up.
Sorry? It was about 50 yards north of you though, Kenny, was it? They were found dead. And because one man died, 300 people in Barnard Castle lost their jobs, and some of them ended up starving to death. Just goes to show, because you know, people think, if I wasn't here, would it really matter? Yes, yes it would. You found George Hopper for me. I want to find, oh, I think, is that what I think it is? This is it. This is not George. This is bigger than George. Over here, Ken. Yeah. I told you that an awful lot of people had died in Barnard Castle. Hopefully I can read this. You just got to get the light right. In memory of 143 inhabitants of Barnard Castle who died of Asiatic cholera from August the 18th to October the 18th, 1842. In the midst of life, we are in death. And more slugs and slimy things. And that is one grave for 143 bodies. And they're here. They're right here. This is the plague pit, right here. Oh, so when I said I saw something dark down there,
Yeah.
it was from here.
And that, I heard that noise as well. From up this area.
Yeah. Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah, a little.
I'm going to necromance again, I'm afraid.
Yeah, this stuff, yeah.
Come on. If you're here and you want to talk to us, we're here in love and respect. Come, talk to us. Can you hear that roaring noise again?
Big roaring noise.
What is that? What the hell's that? It's like there's a low-flying jet. Show us that you're here. Show us that you made it through. Share with us. Talk to us. Got a couple of kisses there.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. Speak to us.
You're in my world.
You're in my world. Did you hear that, Tony?
I never heard it, but your Michael have picked it up. Wow.
You're in my world.
Wow. It's amazing.
Back.
You want us to go back? Oh. I don't wish to. Did you die of cholera? We heard it was mainly children. Are the children there? Are the children there? Are the children there?
That's it. Yes, and us.
Yes, us.
You got, yeah.
Yes, us. How about that? Do you wish us to be here? Do you wish us to be here with you? Well, if you do, speak to us. Speak to us. Yeah, we've come to see you. We've come to see you. We want you to talk with us. How amazing is that?
Crazy. You're in what did I say? You're in my world.
You're in my world. That's, and there's other children there. Yes, us.
Us. It's creepy, isn't it?
Bring out your dead. Absolutely. Still want to find George if I can. Yeah. I was made to believe that that George's grave wasn't in a row or anything. It was out on its own. So check out the ones that's on our own. But it's a off the ground mausoleum kind of thing. We'll find George if he's yet to be found. I haven't seen any mausoleums. I'm not even sure the bodies will be here, you know.
What are you, Tony?
No one, not me.
Getting spooked a bit. Sometimes cemeteries, they just stand up the graves, but their bodies could be anywhere. I think there's someone in the church. I hope there is, because it's lit. Oh, hang on a second.
Oh,
Tony, you have to come this way. It's got to be that. No, I think I've seen the one that it is. Now, we've reached our hour.
my God.
This is the grave of the poltergeist. We're going to go in there next. So, we're not finished here. We've got more to do. We also have lots of other places that we have to seek out. We'd love you to come with us. Tony, how do you do it?
Yeah, if you're not a supporter, you can become a supporter on Facebook by just clicking the button.
Do
and
it.
Then we'll be live in 5 minutes' time.
We'd love you to do that.
On YouTube, just hit the join button and the extra content will all be there later. And we've got some stuff that we recorded earlier as well.
Yeah, you'll also get the ghost walk around the castle. And we've been in a haunted pub where there's all kinds, including a man who's hanged himself in the fireplace. And we're looking at that fireplace too. Now, just as a tease, Kenny thinks he's got the right one. I would put money on it. I would put money on it that that's George Hopper. Look at this.
Isn't it?
Now, there's a thing that you do on this grave that's said to bring George Hopper out of his tomb. It's a poltergeist related thing. I wouldn't touch it yet. Immediately when we come back, we're going to see if we can summon George to join us. This is George Hopper, isn't it?
George.
Son of Hopper.
George.
Son
Humphrey
of Humphrey
Hopper.
Hopper.
Yeah. He alive, the body.
Right.
George.
I wouldn't put your hand on it, Ken, to be honest. But okay. We are going to try and see if we can get George to join us immediately after this. I'd love you to be there too. Come join us.